Hello, Midnight TCG members. This is Midnight Fox. We're coming to you with this week's Competitive Edge podcast. This week we're doing member Q&A. This week we have Genzaki recording as usual. We have Genzo
Hello.
and we have Eddie.
Beep.
So, kind of funny. First question we got here. It's kind of one we get throughout all the Q&As. So, just a quick overview, I guess, for our newer members. POS wanting to know about the history of the site. So, I guess for some of the newer members, maybe catching up on podcasts might be good to go over. The site actually started on a Zeta board. It was pretty small, but basically I got tired of the elitist communities like ETC, and I wanted to create a place where people could just come and have fun and talk and be troll free and post their own thoughts without people downing them for having their own mind and not a hive mind. So that's kind of where it started. It started on Midnight Express, which, interesting story, I found out after I had already named the site that that was actually a gay porno. So fast forward a year when I could afford it, 2 years actually, and the opportunity arose for us to go to V Bulletin, and so we made the change. And of course, we weren't carrying Midnight Express over because, yeah, we didn't want that kind of attention to be with the site when we moved over to the new V Bulletin board. So we renamed the board Midnight TCG. And we've had some staff members come and go. Some have made a huge impact, some less than others. But we're just over 2 years old now. Pretty successful, hitting close to 8,000 now. Genzo's bringing his army along. I think that just about covers the history. I mean, pretty short, sweet. We're just a kind of community. We just want to take in new members and give them a place where they can speak their mind freely without wondering if someone's going to come in and shut them down or call them a newbie or whatever. People will come in and give their opinions, but I make sure that that opinion's backed by fact and not just somebody coming in and harassing them. So, yeah. We strive to be your happy community. Eddie, Genzo, you guys want to add anything to the history?
I can't because I'm really new to the board, so you guys would have a better idea of the history of the site yourselves.
What
Well,
about you, Eddie? Anything you want to add to the history?
other than saying the fact that actually it's been a year that I've been here, so surprise, surprise on that. I came over on 4/7/2012. Started out as a regular member by I want to say August. When did you put me at mod, Fox?
Uh, I want to say probably June.
Okay, so June. Okay, I went way late, but June, because that was about the time I met up with Genzaki, our recorder. We started doing in July. We started doing the Midnight Gaming podcast, which then evolved into the gaming booth as of this year, and we've really Gen and I have really hit it off as an online team, so to speak. And uh, other than
Really?
that, It's been a wild ride for a year.
We've done a lot of growing. I mean, it's one of the things I strive for is to give everyone a place to grow, especially our staff. You know, having the front page, that was one of the reasons I went with the publishing suite, is it gives some of the up and coming online personalities the ability to have their work seen and know that it's being published and know that your name's out there on the web. So, the next question comes from KDP, actually, the next series of questions. And his first one is what is your favorite Dragoonity combos? For me, I'm gonna say I've never been a huge fan of Dragoonities within as a deck within themselves. So I can't say that there's a I can't really say Dragoonity combo within itself. Most of what I've used is Ducks, Dark Spear, and Gay Balls in a Harpy hybrid so that I could heavily abuse the Harpy's hunting ground, and it tossed in a few Black Wings also. And I like Gay Balls because basically it gives me an extra Kaloot from the graveyard. So I kind of tossed all three in together. It was more of a Harpy Blackwing hybrid with just Ducks, Dark Spear, and Gay Balls in there for their abilities. Just for extra pops on the back row. Because, let's see if I'm remembering this right, Dark Spear brings back a Winged Beast, which was my Harpies. Blow up the backfield, and Ducks brought back the Dragon. The Dragon brought back the brought back the Winged Beast. So it kind of recycled itself and allowed me to abuse that, be able to go into Gay Balls, get that into the graveyard, and if I didn't have a Kaloot in hand, I had a Gay Balls in the graveyard to be able to say surprise. Although with the move to Xyz monsters, it's not as good as it was when Dragoonities first hit. What about you, Eddie?
As far as Dragoonities go, I never really got into them majorly. I mean, I kind of sort of fell off for a little bit once they hit. So I'm not gonna be much of an opinion here. So Ginzo.
Excuse me. So it seems like we all three kind of have the same opinion of the deck. Like, I'm not a big fan of the deck. Not that I think it's bad per se. I just really don't care for the deck and what it does. But as I was mentioning to Ben and Gonzaki before the podcast, you know, regardless if I like a deck, whether I don't like a deck, I play them all, you know, because I just want the information. And the one thing that kind of got me excited for just a brief moment in time with Dragoonity was this really, really involved two-card combo, which results in the field of Stardust Dragon, Queen Dragoon Jin, a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, and a Photon Strike Bouncer. And it, you know, while I won't go into the combo because it's a long sequence of plays and it's been published before by other people online, what I will say is the deck gains access to it from running some really cool cards, and that's what I figured I'd mention here versus the combo itself, because it's not a short and sweet kind of simple linear combo I can explain quickly. But basically, you start off the turn with Dragon's Ravine and discard a card to send Ducks to the grave, or a Phalanx to the grave, and then have Ducks to start the combo, just like the majority of Dragoonity combos do start. And then by running Mist Valley Baby Rock, the level 2 tuner, who when he's discarded, he special summons himself. And a very, very old card, like I don't remember its full name, but I just know it by like Garuda. You know what I'm talking about, Ben? The wind monster that's like the rock spirit.
Garuda the
Yeah,
Wind.
yeah, that's it. Okay, that's simple enough. And I mentioned the Rock Spirit. Yeah, but it runs 2 copies of him. Uh, So that's what I'll mention, and I'll go ahead and say this: that we do have Genzo's Combo Corner, the little section. So what I'll do, as soon as we're done with the podcast tonight, I will go to the Combo Corner and edit in this Dragoonity combo. So for those of you who hear this and you are interested, we'll just head over to the Combo Corner, and I'll post it tonight, and you can check out the exact combo and how it plays out. But I really like it because it runs very interesting cards, which makes a deck that's not really interesting to me interesting. And I'm a kind of guy like I get real excited over really involved combos or really involved one turn kills because it forces you to know the right thing all the time. Knowing the right card to play, how the sequence of plays should. And best case scenario mode work. So that's what I'll do. I'll post the combo up in the combo corner so you can see. But just know that the cards or the combo starts with 2 cards and ends in a field of Stardust Dragon, Queen Dragoon, Jin, Red Eyes Darkness, Metal Dragon with its full attack, and a Photon Strike Bouncer. But that's my favorite, I guess, Dragoonity combo.
All right. Well, his next question is: do you like Fabled Raven or Trance Archfiend better in Dark Worlds? Now, for me, I'm going to say at first I thought it was Fabled Raven, and I think it really depends on how I'm playing Dark Worlds. If I'm going for an Xyz heavy deck, then I do prefer Fabled Raven because of its ability to alter its levels and the ability, of course, to add attack. What I found out before I decided to go more Xyz with Dark Worlds is that I was emptying my hand more with Fabled Raven and not being able to fill it back up. So for me, if I'm just going pure Dark Worlds and I'm wanting to go with the beat stick ability of it, I probably prefer Trance Archfiend because it does still give a boost, and I just think it's better overall because you can get too zealous with Fabled Raven because there's no limit to what you can discard, and then you can end up with dead draws, which equals good game to your opponent. What about you, Eddie?
As far as that goes, I'm a guy who likes to play Fabled Raven a lot, so I'd go Fabled Raven.
Any reason?
It's a tuner in the deck.
I
Easy to summon.
guess it's a light, so it does allow for chaos in Dark Worlds.
And that too.
What about you, Genzo?
I think it's a progression actually from, just like any deck. When we get, like take for instance Gravekeepers, when they were first released, they were very vanilla and how they could interact within the metagame and didn't do very well. Although there was moderate success with the deck, but once they got new cards, the deck, was developed and became better. And I think that's the way I feel about Fable Raven, excuse me, and Trans Archfiend. Because Fable Raven seemed to be the starting point because you could, have synchro monsters, which were, unless I'm misremembering, synchro monsters were more relevant, at the point where Fable Raven actually made its entrance into the deck. But now, Xyz are more relevant, and also what Trans Archfiend allows the deck. Fable Raven just discards your hand. Sure, they're Dark World monsters, and you'll get some effects from there, and that's nice. But Trans Archfiend, while he can't discard multiples, he can discard one. He'll get a 500 attack boost, so he will become 2,000, which is immediately makes Deck Devastation Virus live, which Fabled Raven cannot do because it's a light monster. Excuse me. But the most important thing is, like, say when you summon your Grapha, into a your opponent's field, and then they bottomless trap hole it or dimensional prison it. You would like to think that you would never summon a Grapha into that kind of predicament, but realistically speaking, that happens in games. Transarc Fiend gives you access to that banished Grapha if he's destroyed and sent to the graveyard. So I think that effect alone, if you take away the ability to discard, I think the effect that he can grab your Grapha or any of your fiends that are banished, from the banished area and put it back in your hand, I think that makes it a better card than Fabled Raven myself. So I definitely I didn't really run Dark World a lot when Fabled Raven was like a key tech card. But now that I do run Dark World here and there off and on, like it's Transarc Fiend is the only way to go for me.
The next question he gives reminds me of a Nomad question, sort of. Just, what is the square root of 1,000? 31.622776617.
Dot 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 dot.
Yeah. Next serious one. After the recent hero tops, Electrum, OTK, and Bubble Beat, do you think the archetype will make a comeback and continue to top events? Oh, for me, I don't think it's per se a comeback. Heroes have actually been making an impact in the game ever since Absolute Zero hit. Once Absolute Zero hit, then Heroes really started to become more mainstream, whereas before they were kind of overlooked as these guys are unplayable, blah, blah, blah. But I think what Konami's done right that has made Heroes be more competitive is the original Heroes were very specific. You could only summon with this card and this card. But now they allow for hero summons with a certain type or certain attribute monster, and you've got it out. So it allows for dynamic plays with Super Poly, which was a dead card in the game for quite some time until Heroes started really making a huge impact in the game. So I wouldn't say it's a comeback. Do I look at them to give more support? That's a 50-50. I think they've given plenty. Escurido was the big top card for quite a while. I think they're going to let it go with what we got as far as heroes and concentrate on Zectors, Medolchis, of course, Elemental Dragons, and the big decks to come. Does it still have a chance to top events? Well, of course. Part of it is deck building, part of it's skill, and the biggest part of it is know-how, knowing what to do with the cards you have in your hand and being very effective. So is there a chance for them to top? Of course there is. I mean, the only way you're not going to top an event is if you're somebody who just comes in and I'm going to take my 60 card deck full of nothing that works together and play it. Any deck has potential as long as it's properly built, you understand the engine that you're putting behind it, and you know how to play your hand no matter what comes into your hand. You got to make sure the deck synergizes. What about you, Eddie?
For me, I've always loved Heroes. Well, I can't say always, because at the start, they started out slow. Because you had to use polymerization, certain cards, and things like that. Once you started getting the things like Absolute Zero and Super Poly and Miracle Fusion, they would just start really going off left and right. So, for me, to answer this question, I have to say I can see Heroes being in the fight, but not as strong cards, things like Mermail or Merlantians and things like that. Again, like you said, it's not a comeback, it's just mainly a come up.
What about you?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Eddie.
Well, can they top events? Yes. But it takes the right player to do it.
What about you, Genzo? What's your thoughts on that question?
Just a reiteration on what you guys have said. I think you nailed it on the head. It's not really a comeback. I mean, I remember when we'd open packs and we get Ultimate Rare First Edition Miracle Fusions and be like, why did I pull this piece of crap? Just being disappointed because you just wasted a pack on a Miracle Fusion, and I don't know how many trades back in the day, or collections that I would pick up, and they would be Ultimate or Common Rare Miracle Fusion. I'm just like, great, and I just throw it in a box, and then it wound up turning out to be a really good coincidence, because they got really expensive, and I was able to move some product that way. But yeah, once they started getting support, they were just how do you say they in my opinion, they're always inherently weaker than everything else in the meta that's doing well. But just like any deck, I think that's the best way to explain it. Was it a surprise, for instance, that Bubble Beat won YCS Costa Rica? Yes and no, in my opinion. Because the deck is solid. It does have plays, but it's inherently weaker than its counterparts. So it's just one of those things that every dog has its day. And I think that's become really evident, at least, we'll just keep it, short-term memory. Say in the last 6 months, I'm pretty sure it's quite evident that every dog has its day. Any deck can win, because part of the luck that people talk about in tournaments is not just he drew lucky, but say you had to play well in all your games, but you were lucky in the fact that you had great matchups throughout the rounds. So that means a lot too. So if you're running a deck that people think are weak, but you have great matchups throughout Swiss, there's no sense in why you couldn't top as long as you played well. So I don't think Heroes made a comeback. I just think people never stop playing Heroes.
And there
I
are
just think
avid hero players who just love heroes.
Yeah, exactly. And I know several personally who just they love the deck, and whenever you play them, you're in for a game because again, it is a strong deck. It's just one of those decks. It's just one of those decks that's not really focused on. It's not the hype. Right now, everybody wants to talk about Mermail and Prophecy and Fire Fist, Constellar, Evil Swarm, Elemental Dragons. Heroes been around for a while. People. I think a lot of the player base is just concerned about what's new. Because it's a change in the game, not necessarily that their thinking is incorrect or correct, good or bad. It's just the way the game is. People get excited about the new stuff, and they lose sight of the old stuff. And some people, like you said, are dedicated to a certain strategy or archetype, and they stick with it throughout their time in the game. So, and those are generally the people who come back and shock you. Because, I mean, look, what's his name? Angel Flores? He has, 2 YCS wins that come with hero decks? And everybody after the tournaments were finished were like, holy, how did Hero win this? And it's just one of those situations that, what Heroes is one of those decks that just, it's not the hype, but it is a strong deck, and with the right matchups throughout a 9-10 round event, if you get matched up well, you're gonna be able to top. So again, I don't think, I'm not gonna sit here and say it'll never top again, because that would be wrong in my opinion. I think it could, because it is a strong deck.
What's funny is that there are actually a lot of good cards out there that a lot of newer players just do not realize are in the game. And there are a bunch of pet cards from the past that are just completely forgotten.
Yeah, that's a great point, because look at the Bubble Beat.
Kind of lost you there for a second, Genzo.
I think he's going on and just his computer's locked up on him.
Well, what I'm talking about is like
Yeah.
enchanting fitting room, like with rabbit decks. That's an old card that can actually be teched in now into rabbit decks, and it allows for more plays to go into gotchi gotchi in your rank 3 exceeds monsters. If you run rank 2, 3, 4, and you run that heavily in the deck, it makes rabbit decks very effective. That's just one instance of an old card that's forgotten. White Elephant's Gift allows for you to pop a vanilla and draw cards. Just a couple instances of cards that have been forgotten that can be teched in, and that's kind of like we were talking about with the heroes, like pulling miracle fusions and like, oh man, this sucks. And then we get Zero, we get uh, The Shining, we get, is it Nova Master, the one that's
It's
a
Nova
fire
Master. It's Nova Master.
that goes with a fire? We get all these good heroes, and all of a sudden, it's not so bad to have a miracle fusion. So, I think we lost Genzo for a second. Hopefully, we'll get him back. So, the next question is, do you see evil swarms topping in the coming events? For me,
So go ahead.
for me, they've gotten a lot of hype over in Japan. So I do see evil swarms being able to top events for now, because with Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, we're only going to get the adult dragons. So that deck's going to be broke, but not as broke as it is when we get the baby dragons too. We're going to have harpies, which are great, but Harpy's pet dragon has become so expensive that only your handful of top players are going to be running harpies. So the cost-effective way to go is going to be Evil Swarm or Constellar, because we know that Hidden Arsenal cards come out cheaper. So do I see Evil Swarms topping in coming events? I see variations. I actually see a chance of, like I spoke about a podcast or two ago about a Dark Gaia deck based around Evil Swarms using uh, the 1950 attacker, vanilla.
Mm,
So, yeah, I see Evil Swarms being able to top incoming events until we get Elemental Dragons, and then we're back to autopilot. So, what do you think, Eddie? Do you see Evil Swarms topping incoming events?
I could see it. I saw Gerald Winston playing because I follow him on Facebook. So I've seen some of the test hands and things he's had, and some of the because he's been taking pictures and stuff. So it looks like a steady kind of play. So
And it is. It's really, what's the word I'm looking for? It's really consistent. So,
in a sense, yes.
so what about you, Genzo? Do you see Evil Swarms topping in coming events?
Yes. I think the question, when I first read the question, I just got the sense that maybe the question was being asked because we're not immediately getting Karikion, which is going to be a pretty important utility for the deck, the monster is, because it gives you that one card Ophion. But still, the deck can create Ophion. It's going to have a great card in Thunderbird that can save itself, and when it does save itself, it returns like Wind Up Rabbit, but with 300 more attack, so it's a 1950 attacker. So the deck has quality. It has Caster. It has Mandragora, the special summon, and then also it's going to play Rabbit, so it's going to have a solid one card Ophion. It's going to be a good deck. What I'm kind of curious is what the deck will look like, because I wouldn't put it past Evil Swarm topping the next YCS, which is New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just kind of curious to see, you know, kind of the pioneers of the deck, you know, the people who take it and attempt to top with it first, what their variants are going to look like. But I am, without a doubt, it'll top.
Jarrell has been using it quite a lot, so I hate to give the devil his due, but yeah, I
Well,
think
he's not the only person to run it.
so. Eddie, or wait a minute, we already asked you. So the next question is: are you happy about the upcoming release of Starform Dragon? I will say that just from the look of it, and it comes out in Judgment of the Light, it is going to be a pretty BA card. Of course, it's 11 star synchro, so most of your plays that are going to be able to abuse it heavily are going to come within the Elemental Dragon decks. But 3,200 attack, 2,800 defense, one tuner, one or more non-tuner monster. I like that because it allows it to be splashed into anything, although probably your dragon decks are going to use it more. Must be synchro summoned. It cannot be special summoned by other ways. So that takes Call the Haunted and Monster Reborn, all that out of the way. This card's synchro summon cannot be negated. I like that because one of the worst things I hate is wasting my field and having someone go, Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, Thunder King Ryo, goodbye. Especially when you're wasting this, when you're using this much 11 stars to get this guy out. When special summon cards and effects cannot be activated, if this card attacks it, it's unaffected by other card effects till the end of the damage step. So this means it skirts cards like Mirror Force, Dimensional Prison, right? That happens during the damage step. Am I right?
No, those Dimensional Prison and Mirror Force will happen in the battle step at attack declaration, but it's still protected from it. So
Yeah, because it's unaffected until the end of the damage step. So I just wanted to make sure I clarified that right and didn't say the wrong thing and give the wrong impression. But, I mean, basically invulnerability in a synchro summon. And we know that we're getting a level 5, a level 6, and a level 7 synchro monster coming out. And I think it's the level 7 is the one that's going to be very token dependent. But they're all looking to be very promising. So, somewhat, yes. Am I looking forward to wasting 11, 11 stars? Probably not, but for such a good attack, a good defense, and a good effect, I'm pretty excited to see Starform Dragon hitting. What about you, Eddie?
I'm. Is this for all of Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, or?
This is out of Judgment of the Light.
Oh, okay. Hang on a minute. I'm looking at the wrong one.
Hold on, let me send you a link.
Well, I was looking at Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. My apologies.
oh, we're not to that question yet. We're just on
I saw
there
Celestial
you
Starform
go.
Dragon, so.
There you go. Right now, it's the Japanese version is called Celestial Dragon. There's the wiki for you, so you can take a look at it.
Yeah. I like this card. It's got relatively good attack. It can't be stopped by all the cards that you mentioned. I know, or at least I can say that you could probably pull him out pretty easily in like a quick draw deck. So, yeah, that's about it for me.
What about you, Genzo?
All right. Well, I'm gonna stand on the opposite side of the street from you guys. um, while I don't know, I really don't get too upset over cards being created or printed. I'm just not a fan, and I don't think cards should exist that don't allow you to respond to them. And I feel the same way about super polymerization. I mean, granted, I don't like that card in general anyway, even though it is a really good utility. I don't think cards should exist where your opponent can't respond to them. I think that's lame, especially since it has a follow-up effect where it kind of protects itself from the common ways to remove his body from the field. But overall, I mean, it is a great card because it does have that effect. That 3,200 attack, 2,800 defense. Those are stout or stats for the monster. And it's quite easy. It's like tremendously easy for Elemental Dragon to make. It's so easy to put a level 7 dragon in that deck on the field, and then you can have Tempest search Delta Flyer from your deck to your hand, and then normal summon it, and there's your level 11 synchro. So I'm not necessarily excited about it. Because I like the Xyz monsters that save, for example, Elemental Dragon creates. But it's a neat card, I think it's kind of along the lines of shooting Quasar Dragon, in my opinion. For any other deck, really, because it seems like a quality choice for Elemental Dragons because they have such ease in putting them on the field. But for any other deck, like Eddie mentioned, I'm pretty sure a Quick Draw variants could use this guy. Maybe less finicky than Quasar for them. Will they? I don't know, but that is a good aspect of the card as well. Is that it's generic monsters. It's nothing in particular. But it's a pretty good card in my opinion. I just don't like the cannot be negated thing. Those cards shouldn't exist, but good card.
So do you think they'll Konami will hit it possibly at 1? Considering that, do you think they'll hit it when it first
No.
comes out?
I think it's one of those cards that seems really. I mean, like, I don't ever see them shooting Quasars. And if you get Quasar on the field, it's much more lethal than this guy. So you know what I mean? It's like one of those cards that it's either going to be at 3 or at 0, and they're not going to ban it. So.
Yeah, but Quasar, in my opinion, is a little harder to get out because his.
It is. Yeah, sure.
Much harsher. This guy's gonna be easy to get out.
I still don't think it would get banned. I don't see it getting limited. But like I said, while other decks can make it, it kind of seems built for Elemental Dragons.
If it were like as soon as it comes out, and if it comes out and it plays really well in almost every deck and meshes with almost every deck, and you can almost never get rid of it. Yeah, sure, I can see Konami getting rid of it. But no.
Exactly, because like Prophecy, they're going to be like, oh, that sucks that you got that big guy out. Now I have to respond to it. But they will have Fate. They will have High Priestess. So they have options. Elemental Dragons can discard Blaster and another Fire Dragon, pop him. So I mean, decks that are playing, like even Mermail, they can discard heavy infantry, pop him. So I mean, he's just good in the fact that like he prevents himself. Like his summon is gonna happen. If the levels are there, it's gonna happen. Period. And then if he goes to battle, he doesn't have to worry about the normal stuff that every other monster has to worry about, really. But he doesn't affect the game. Like it's not like a shutdown monster.
No, but it's a good beater to go through for at least one good hit.
For sure, but that doesn't get you banned. I mean, BLS is a much better card, and he's in the game at 1.
Well, I don't see him banning him. I would think more maybe at 1, but we'll see. I don't know. It's
Tom tells.
Out, so. So our next question from KDP: what card or cards are you happy about being released in Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy? This is going to be really crazy, so bear with me because of the second question. For me, I'm happy to see the new Harpy support. I have mentioned it in podcast after podcast after podcast. So seeing Channeler hit, we're going to get Harpy's Pet Mirage Dragon. Knowing that we're getting the Harpy support, that's going to be great. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I just would like to slap myself in the face for not picking up the Harpy's Pet Dragon for $15 when I could have. Because, yeah, he could have been, now it's over $100. I'm slapping myself around for not picking that up. And then other than that, probably the Mecha Phantom Beasts, just because it's kind of like I want to compare it to Black Wings for machines and Dragosac. I am kind of excited about seeing that. And I know what you're going to say because I'm not mentioning them, but I'll cover them in the next section. But for me, the most exciting thing is knowing that we're getting more Harpy support. I've been wanting that for a while, so that's what I'm looking forward to the most out of Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. Eddie?
I'm looking at the Harpy support because yay Harpies.
Yay.
I'm looking at the new Prophecy monster because that thing's gonna be just retarded. I'm looking right now. I'm kind of sort of glancing him over, and I see Trifortresops. Because I think that's how you say his name.
Something like that.
During either player's turn, if your opponent summoned 3 or more monsters this turn, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned this way, it is unaffected by other card effects, but loses 500 defense during each player's standby phase. I see him for use for like Rabbit, like whenever your opponent plays the Rabbit, and then boom, you can just drop him. He's a dark type, so he's good for Chaos Food. He's machine, so he can be used in just about any. I would say windups, but no. I would also say that he could be used alongside limiter removal, just to be that guy. So
I'm interested in that the rabbit thing you were talking about because I'm not sure he would come out there because they summon rabbit, right? And like, can it be normal or special summon or just special summon?
It just says summoned.
Okay, so they go rabbit, and then they go, what is it? The 2 dinosaurs. Like that's when you would need to be able to play it, but you can't because those 2 dinosaurs are only going to be counted as 1 summon because they happen at the same time.
My apologies. My math is terrible. I've been doing Introduction to Statistics, and basic math has now just become for me. Seriously, it has.
Ginzo?
Oh, me? There's a lot in here. For me personally, I'm going to mention, I guess you were hinting because you're going to mention them in the next section, but definitely the elemental dragons. The way I look at it is there's nothing we can do about it. They've created the cards already. They're coming, whether we like it or not. They're good. I mean, whether they're bad for the game or not, the cards themselves are great cards. You know, when you look at them individually and what they do, and then when you think about them together as a unit, including once we get the discard dragons. So I'm excited about the elemental dragons because I like the deck. I like what it does. But to get away from like the lame kind of like easy stuff, like you both have mentioned it, I think the Harpies, I'm totally excited. And as I'm looking through the Tachyon list, Harpy Chandler is going to be an ultra, so it's going to be kind of expensive. But I was looking, and it's a good point that I made when we had the Harpy discussion that I didn't think Harpy's Pet Mirage Dragon, the one that takes 3 level 4s, would be really relevant for the deck. I could see some people running it on preference alone, but preference is neither here nor there. And I think my initial read of the card was a good one because I don't run the card, and it's a rare, so it'll be easy to pick up. But what's surprising is that the Hysteric sign it says it's going to be a common or a super rare, which means it'll probably be a super rare. Because if we look at Spellbook of Judgment, which says rare or secret rare, and there's no way that card is hitting the TCG as a rare. There's no way. That card's going to generate too much money. So it's definitely coming as a secret rare. So that's cool. I'm a real big fan of the Harpies deck. You know, I wish, in my heart of hearts, I hope it does better than I think it will do, because it's a really fun deck to play. I really like what the cards as a whole do. So I'm excited about just getting the Chandlers and the signs so I can actually play the deck, because it's the only cards I don't have, and so I'm just waiting on them. And then the other ones are the Burning Knucklers. Again, It's a weak deck, but it's fun. I just like it, and I think Lead Blow is a pretty fun card. And I'm wanting to say that. Let's see if it has its rarity here yet. Nope, it doesn't have anything next to it. So it'll probably be at lowest a rare, maybe a super or ultra. But regardless, the deck is still going to be dirt cheap because all the monsters are common. Is what it's looking like. So I'm excited about, of course, the E-Dragons. Um, I'm interested in the Mecha Phantom Beast because I think I like the deck at face value. I just like how they create tokens. I like that whole kind of, where you can use it aggressively or you can hide behind it if you need to. So that seems pretty fun. But really, the stuff I'm really excited about would be the Harpy stuff and the Burning Knuckler stuff. The Burning Knuckler is just going to be like a little throw around fun deck you play with your buds for fun. And then the Harpy stuff, it's going to be a competitive deck. It's just a question of, how well it's going to be able to compete. And it's a good thing, I guess. We get the level 8 dragons first without the discard dragons, so they can at least be used as cards instead of this like busted collection of cards. Because Redox, I've seen it played in Madolche and other decks. Title can be splashed. They can all be splashed into attribute specific decks, so that'll be fun. And also, I'll be able to get Tempest, which is key to my Harpy deck, so that's good. That's another reason why I'm really excited.
I feel like
Go ahead, Eddie.
I'm sorry, but I feel like a freaking dingbat for not mentioning Mind Drain for things that could be built, like for a big drain deck, being able to run Skill, Soul, and Mind Drain to be able to throw into like anti-meta decks to compete against it. So
I did forget the other one, and just because I'm so hyped on Harpies, is Sylphine the Sub-Zero Siren.
Oh yeah, how did I forget that?
Yeah. You detach an Xyz material monster, negate all face-up effects your opponent currently controls, and she gains 300 attack for each face-up card currently on the field except herself. So, starts out at 2,000, but she has the chance to be a beat stick and to knock abilities off the field. That's great.
yeah.
So that's definitely another one that I'm looking forward to. On the
And I think Kiyu said that, or he edited into the Lord of Tachyon Galaxy spoiler list we have, and I'm wanting to say that he either had it as a common or a rare, and I can't see Sylphine as a common or a rare. I mean, it's possible, sure. But I think it has to at least be a super because it's generic in one sense, right? Because it's only wing beasts; they're not specific, like wind wing beast or something. So it's a card that makes black wings better, as well as harpies.
Getting all
Sylphine the Sub-Zero Siren.
Yeah.
It's a new Xyz monster. It's really, really good. You should take a look at it. Rank 4.
Rank 4, two level 4 wing beasts.
Yeah.
Black Wings can really do that and do it with ease.
Yeah.
Without a problem. And when you read its effect, Eddie, you'll be like, oh, sheesh. It's pretty good.
So, the next question is, what cards are you disappointed about being released in Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy? First of all, I'm going to start out by saying number 107, Neo Galaxy Tachyon. Make sure I'm saying this right.
Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon.
Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. Quit dragging out a card name. We got Galaxy Eyes Photon. We got Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon. Now we're getting Tachyon Galaxy Dragon. I am tired of seeing it, and they have this bad sense of re-releasing different versions, like Utopia Ray. Is the third one Utopian Hope?
I don't know.
Re-releasing all these different versions of the same card in Tachyon Dragon. I just think there are better rank 8 Xyz monsters that are currently available and coming. Like Zombie Stein, I'm hyped about that. Am I hyped about Tachyon Galaxy Dragon? No. On the flip side of what Genzo said, I guess not as bad as once we get the baby dragons, but I'm not looking forward to the elemental dragons hitting because I just think somebody at Konami said, "What's the most broken deck we can put out there? And let's throw it out there." And we talked about it a few podcasts ago. This is basically going to be an autopilot deck, like a tier 0, especially when you get the baby dragons too, that you can just go pop, 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 game. And the way that Konami's speeding up the power creep, it's really taking the fun out of the game because part of the fun for me is finding interesting combos, finding new uses for old cards, so on and so forth. So I'm not excited about seeing the Elemental Dragons hit because I really think they're going to kill part of the game, especially for the younger generation starting to come in to the game. If they go to locals or even a regionals and somebody just goes pop, 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 pop with all those Elemental Dragons, they're going to be done with the game. Konami's killing the game by making it too fast. So for me, I'm not looking forward to the Elemental Dragons hitting because it's such an easily stupid deck. There's my rant for the night. Eddie?
I'm looking at Green Dust On. It's looking to be a useless card.
And it's a short print, which makes it more silly.
Yeah. Looking at Chaos XYZ Dragon Fairy Cheer Girl. Takes 3 level 5 monsters. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, draw 1 card. Well, this card has Fairy Cheer Girl attached to as an XYZ material. It gains its effect. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can deattach 1 XYZ material from this card and inflict 400 damage to your opponent for each card in your hand. Granted, it looks to be a burn card, but the thing is, Fairy Cheer Girl is a level 4, so it's kind of pointless.
Well, I guess the thing you're not taking into account is they're having the rank up magic cards. That's the reason why you're seeing all these odd, like even the Burning Knuckler deck has one. What is it called? Burning or number C105 Burning Knuckler Sisis the Comet. It's because they have this card, the rank up magic Variance Force, where basically you take your rank 4 Ixies monster and then activate Variance Force, and it allows you to overlay the one that's a rank 5 over top the rank 4.
Oh, for the love of God, Konami, stop doing this kind of stupid shit.
It's really odd. It's really odd, and you probably wouldn't play it competitively, but that's the kind of like why they have these odd cards.
Quit going in new directions. Quit going in new directions till you perfect what you already have. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
And quit making stupidly easy decks. What about you, Genzo? What are you not looking forward to in this set?
0. So I just want to I haven't got this like Tachyon set list memorized, and I feel bad because I forgot to mention that I am totally stoked that Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosac is coming. It's unfortunate it's a secret rare because I just see that card being $60 to $120 easy per card. And then the Fire Fist stuff that's going to change the way Fire Fist get played. And then I scrolled all the way down, and I didn't realize that Constellar Sombres is in this pack, so I'm excited about that. Evil Swarm Karikion's going to make the Evil Swarms a better deck. So I'm not upset about any of these cards. I do agree with Eddie that a card like Green Dustin being a short print is kind of stupid and useless. But there's going to be I think they have to put cards like that in packs because every card couldn't be good. I guess, but yeah, I'm not upset about anything. Like if I was to view it like that, I would say like Windrose, the Elemental Lord, is kind of a disappointing card for me personally. But yeah, not upset about anything really. I guess nothing bothers me. I should say.
All right, well, next question. What are your 5 favorite archetypes? Well, I guess to start for me, definitely Harpies. Harpies has always been one of my favorite archetypes, and mainly, other than the artwork, just because I like the ability to blow up things with hunting ground and have it not associate it with the harpy itself. Uh, Second, definitely Black Wings. I've always been a Blackwing fan. Before we got all the big support, I was one of the first people ever at locals going Harpies and Black Wings together. Before, when all we had was Armor Master, Gale, Bora, Shura, and Sirocco. Before Raging Battle hit, I was already running a deck and it was shutting down Glad Beasts. Um, Light Sworns, because they were always good to me in the past. Oh, let's see. Volcanics, definitely, because I've always been a burn enthusiast. And my last archetype, I'm going to pay tribute to an older archetype. And I wouldn't play this competitively until I just saw that it's getting more support. The Archfiend archetype. Definitely always been one of my favorites. I like the chess look of it and the way they use the chess pieces like the knight, the rook, the pawn. Definitely Archfiends, and especially knowing that, hey, I think it's about 3 sets out we're getting more Archfiend support. That's coming out of Japan. So that's my 5 favorite archetypes. What about you, Eddie?
I'll go with dragons, black wings, spellcasters, heroes, Six Sam. Keeping it simple tonight.
Any reason in particular?
I've always loved dragons ever since I bought my first Kaiba starter deck. Blackwing, I loved right from the beginning because they're amazing. They're swarm. They're powerful. Spellcasters, because I love being able to like drop a spellcaster, swing with it, then activate something like Magical Dimension to bring out a stronger spellcaster to then swing with it. Heroes, because they're such a tech deck and they take a lot of skill to play, and Six Sands because they're just incredibly broken.
All right, Genzo, what about you? Your 5 favorite archetypes. You there, Genzo?
Nope, he went dead again.
Boom. We'll give him a second, and if he's not able to reconnect, we'll move on to the next one. And you there, Genzo? 5 favorite archetypes.
Hello.
Give him a minute.
Yep. Yes, we are there. 5
Hi.
favorite archetypes.
I do not like archetypes.
You don't like archetypes?
I think they ruin the game. Yay me. No, like not in the general sense. Not like if you're saying like, don't get me wrong. There are archetypes that I do enjoy. Like, for instance, Black Wings. That's an archetype. That's what I'm talking about. Like Six Sams or Light Sworn. I think that kind of like, just like took the creativity and the deck building skill away from the game, and so like I think it just hurt the game in a way that they can never fix that. I don't think there's no way to fix. There's too many cards in the game now. But if I had to think, I guess like still, like, I think some of my favorite archetypes are the decks that still remain freeform. So deck building is a commodity that you can't overlook. So like Frog Monarch is a fun deck. It's still kind of vanilla in how it's built, but it's I guess it's an archetype that I enjoy. Um,
Well, and I hate
uh,
the little things like they're renaming Harpy's brother just because of Harpies.
yeah, I forget his name is something Sky something or I can't remember.
Sky Scout something.
Um,
Yeah, it's something stupid.
I don't know. I think this question would be easier for me if it was like, what are your 5 favorite decks? That's a lot easier for me. But I do like the Harpy deck now. Like again, see, I wasn't a fan when it wasn't a deck. Like I know people have been playing Harpies ever since Harpy cards were around, but I just didn't like them because they didn't really give themselves a chance to win.
I guess Harpies for me then are kind of like elemental heroes are to some players.
Sure.
Because I've always been a fan of Harpies. So, next question from KDP is your 3 least favorite decks to play, and I'm going to assume that he means play against. So, for me, I'm just gonna lay it out there pretty pure and simple. I hate playing autopilot decks. So, playing again. Well, first of all, I'm gonna say I hate Madochis. Ah, because they take a lot of skill. So I'm not gonna say that it's a bad deck and it's an autopilot deck. It's not. It does take the right skill to pick out the right cards to bring out and make the right plays. I just hate playing against it because it's derpy once it starts going. Um, Mermail Atlanteans. Hate playing against them because it's a derpy deck. It's just kind of like along the lines of Elemental Dragons. I can't say exactly because those are just going to be game over. But they have so many dynamic plays that if a duelist draws the right hand, you're basically screwed. And finally, the third one that I just do not like to play against. It's a hard call. I would say I can't say Fire Fists. Probably Spellbook. Because yet again, and especially with the support they're going to get in Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, it's yet another one of those derpy decks that Konami's releasing. I like playing against decks that people have thought out. They think out their own combos and they don't run something on autopilot. They use their own ideas. So anybody who goes out and net decks, I hate playing against those because it's just stupid. I could go out and copy that and probably run and top all the events I want at stealing someone else's deck. But that takes the fun out of it because that takes the originality out of the game. So, with that, I'll pass it on to Eddie.
Stall decks, because they are annoying as can be. Having to sit there and just wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait to get your turn. Ugh. Wind-ups, because, well, they're wind-ups and they're retarded. And Exactors, because I can't set the cards on fire. So, Ginzo.
Did we lose him again?
Yep.
Yes, we did. Well, we'll wait to get him back and let him answer that question. We'll move on to the next one while we're waiting for him to reconnect again.
Isn't that the
Last question is, do you believe that Elemental Dragons are the end-all, be-all till September 1st. If not, what is a consistent counter to it that can get you the win, even if they get turn 1, and that can compete with the other decks that will be played randomly? I'm going to say
Ginzo's back.
we've kind of, well, then we'll let him cover that, and then we'll cover that last question. Your three least favorite decks to play against.
So let's do this quick. Number 1 would be Exodia. Get a real deck. Number 2, Exodia. Get a real deck. Number 3 would be Exodia. Get a real deck. That's it.
Okay.
I don't think he likes Exodia.
No, he doesn't like Exodia, it sounds like. So our last question comes from Joshua BM, and it's, do you believe that Elemental Dragons are the end-all, be-all till September 1st? If not, what is a consistent counter to it that can get you the win, even if they get turn 1, and that can compete with the other decks that will be played randomly? I honestly think once they get the baby dragons, Elemental Dragons, unless they get hit automatically, are going to be a derpy deck that, yeah, it's going to be the end-all, be-all. Almost everybody's going to be playing it. But on the other hand, price-wise, maybe not, because with so much hype behind it and as easily as it goes into dynamic plays, the cards are probably going to be very expensive. So unless you buy tons and tons of boosters, your chances of actually playing the deck out fully are slim to none, unless you have like an unlimited supply of money. So, but countering it, probably the best thing I've heard, and that's come out of Japan, is one of the things to counter is Chaos Hunter, because you remove from play aspect of the game that they rely on. But going head to head right now, before we get the baby dragons, possibly Harpies, but definitely Evil Swarm being able to go head to head with E-Drags for now, and Constellar. What about you, Eddie?
Nope, not for me. There's
Nothing
too
for
many things
you?
that you can use to counter it, like macro, and if you really want to, you can run elemental heroes to counter it. So no, I don't see it being the be-all, end-all.
Ginzo?
Excuse me. When the deck is at full power, the deck will be legit. And there's a good chance that something that the elitists think is the best thing for the game is when there is one really dominant deck, and then maybe one or two other decks that can compete to some extent. The deck might do that. I'm not saying it will, because again, just like we can't go back to a free form style of deck building, there are too many cards, too many decks in the game. Will it be the end all? The be all end all? Of course not, because Ophion's a card. I think the game is going to turn into what it generally turns into until something changes the game, which is a dice roll format. Like if I win the die roll, I win game 1, you win game 2. Guess who goes third? I do. I win the die roll, I win. Does that always play out that concisely? No, of course not, because side decking matters, what you draw matters. So like there are cards to counter. There are, the decks. It's going to come to understanding your deck and how it can attack what elemental dragons do. Hopefully, for some players out there, people get this. There's this incorrect idea going that you don't need Light and Darkness Dragon and Elemental Dragons, which is this silliest thing I've ever heard, because Open and Dragosac Lad is just too good. It's too good. The amount of resources your opponent has to get through to get that field broken is just silly. Like, even if they can do it efficiently, -3 cards is just a terrible spot to be in, especially considering that once you get through that field, they will have the cards that are left in their hand that they have drawn until you've got that field off, and then they'll have the dragons in their graveyard, so they're going to do it again. So just understanding, like what it aims to do, like, and then like I said, I've watched a game recently where I almost saw the dragon structure deck cards beat elemental dragons, and it wasn't because it was like a luck sack. It was because the guy understood how to play the deck. He understood the elemental dragon deck and what it wanted to do. And if it wasn't for his oversight thinking that the guy wouldn't run three big eyes, he probably would have won. But he said, I've seen a lot of lists from Japan. They only run two, and it cost him the game because he played into that theory. In my opinion, even if your opponent is only running two big eye, two Dragosack, you better play the game like they're playing three of each. So that way you're not, setting yourself for a loss. Be all end all, of course not. Like I said, Ophion's a card, and if they go first and they can get Ophion with a little bit of protection, of course, the Elemental Dragon deck has answers for it. Every deck has answers for everything. I mean, come on now. It's just the way the game is going to be. It's going to add that level of just silliness to the game that kind of like turns players off. But decks will be able to compete because other decks can do silly things. Granted, they can't do silly things and overextend and still be good whenever you handle the problem that they presented to you. But like Mermails do the same thing, the deck encourages the player to play poorly and get rewarded for it. Overextending their hand and then getting cards back for doing so, or destroying your opponent's on-field resources for doing so. So, people think that Evil Swarm will kill Mermail. I don't think so. I think Mermail will still be a deck. I think Evil Swarm will be a deck. I think Elemental Dragons will be a deck. And they're just going to run headfirst into each other and hope for the best, I'll play my best and let's see what happens.
Well, I think that just about covers everything. That's all the questions we got. So, just a reminder, the race to 8,000 is still on. Genzo's currently leading by a lot, bringing his army along. So, get your friends in here before Genzo wins this map from you guys. Definitely want to make sure that checking out the trading section. It's kind of been iffy at the moment, probably because we've got the new packs hitting. But definitely go in there. I'd like to see that section going hardcore. Make sure you're reading the weekly articles. Our Winged Beast article might go up a day or two late. I haven't really got to that yet. And make sure that you're showing up on Tuesdays and Thursdays for our tournaments. Tuesdays are the WCS, the Weekly Championship Series. Keo has his tag back, and Thursdays is Flash tournaments for the Inzektor Ladybug mat. And, just keep checking out all the board. There's always lots of stuff going on, and we're always happy to get new members, new faces. We strive to be the community you want to go to and tell your friends about. So with that, I had to dance it off last week. I'm going to let Eddie dance off this week. Eddie?
Okay, bye.